Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Paradoxic, and welcome back to Lucifer. Back to Lucifer after a long time. After a good few weeks, we're back to Lucifer. This time we're on episode 4 of season 5. Last time we had Lucifer versus Michael. Lucifer was visited in hell by Big Bro Amenadiel and warned about the chaos that Michael was wreaking up on Earth by masquerading as him. So Lucifer returned most promptly and tried to repair the relationship between him and Chloe and everything. So he faced off against Michael, I think twice it was. I think the main one was definitely an actual physical fight in his what do they call it? His penthouse at the very, very tip top of Lux. They broke the piano and used the pieces to smack each other in the back and across the face and on the arms and legs and everything. So that was fun. But we had Lucifer versus Michael, so that was cool. We had Lieutenant Diablo. So Lucifer. So for one thing, we have a Warner Brothers Studios in this universe. Warner Brothers is a studio that exists. Whether or not it exists in the same way that we have experienced it all these years is untold. But they do have a WB there, and one of the TV shows produced by WB is Lieutenant Diablo. Lucifer having actually kind of unrolled his life story onto a TV producer, and then that producer then going on to create a show based on Lucifer's experiences. With Chloe, they've got a gender swapped Maze. They've got a thingy. They've even got like a Dan of their own and everything. So that was fun, but unfortunately, members and crewmates of the show started dropping, and it was revealed to be the actress playing Chloe's, Lieutenant Diablo counterpart, who was tired of, being second, and, was afraid of what would happen if the show continued going on the way it was. So she then took matters into her own hands and wanted to actually get some freedom of her own and not have to follow a pre-written path. So then our Chloe could actually sympathize with that. She could sympathize with that. So that was fun. But yeah, Lieutenant Diablo was a thing. It was a thing. So just to see that kind of a meta episode concept for the show was really, really cool. So that was fun. And then at the very end, Michael was left with a very, very distinguishable kind of scar across his face, so you'd know which one was Lucifer and which one was Michael. And he snuck into Chloe's place and met Maze and told her that he knows a secret of hers that Lucifer hasn't told her yet, and he wouldn't tell her what the secret was, but he did tell her that he could tell her how she could find out, where she could go to find out, how she could find out, and what the secret was. So yeah, it seems even after having been discovered, Michael is still intent on actually still wreaking havoc on Lucifer's life, so he's not done with his sibling rivalry BS just yet. So yeah, I think seeing more of him will definitely be cool. Seeing more of especially seeing more of Tom Ellis actually pulling off this other counterpart. Because I think Michael and Lucifer are essentially kind of identical twins. Like they're both played by the same actors, so they have the same faces. But I think that is the kind of concept they're going for. They are kind of polar opposites from each other. Lucifer and Michael, even biblically speaking, they are like the kind of the angel versus the devil and everything, even though they're both archangels. But yeah, but even they even have like different wings too. So Michael has grey wings, I believe it was, and Lucifer had white wings. I think that is how it went, because I think they both unveiled their wings in the last episode. So I think that is how it went. But yeah, that is pretty much all I've got. So Lucifer versus Michael. Michael still playing with Maze's feelings, and also Lieutenant Diablo. Yep, sounds pretty much like everything we got. Yeah, I mean, we won't get a recap, but either way, we're going forward with the story. So we'll just see exactly what the secret Maze needs to find out is, and what more Michael's got up his sleeve. So yeah, that was Lucifer. That was the last episode. So on to the next one, episode 4. As always, this will be the highlight reel. So if you guys want to catch the full-length reaction, all you need is your own copy of the episode from Netflix, and you can sync it up, and it'll be good to go. That will be over on Patreon. But yeah, Lucifer. Let's go. Yeah. So that episode was fun. That was a really, really fun episode. A really fun episode to come back to too, since I've not reacted to Lucifer in a long time. It was a really, really fun episode to come back to. Um, and yeah, it was again like being a flashback episode too, going all the way back to like the 40s and stuff. Turning everything black and white and recasting certain actors. It was a really, really fun concept, and of course because it was a Lucifer giving Trixie a story time based on the ring that he has, which he doesn't really need it. He doesn't really need a ring with the immortality inside of it. So for him, it's just like basically just like the fashion accessory of sorts. But yeah, the episode, the way the way the episode is pulled off. So we had a bunch of different different castings. So Maze understandably played her own mother. She played Lilith back then, or as she was known, Lily Rose. But it also helped because she was the spitting image of Maze as well. So Lucifer actually pointed out that neither of them would ever admit it, but they were the spitting images of each other back then anyway. So it was really cool to have Leslie being casted to play Lilith back then too. So we had that. We had Jack Monroe, originally a male PI, being recasted as a Lauren German, and yeah, it was great. That was great. Lauren German in a suit is always a welcome thing. And we had Amy Garcia playing Tony Stompanato. Tony Stompanato. Sometimes I got tongue twisted and called him Stomped Tomatoes, but no, Mr. Stompanato, Tony Stompanato. But yeah, Amy Garcia and Lauren German in suits is a win. Either way, it's a win any day of the week. So that was really, really fun, and even Amy having a little fake mustache too. So yeah, that was cool. That was really, really cool. But it was also good because I think because Lucifer said he actually, even if it was just this one case, he actually did work with Jack Monroe and actually work with him to find the stuff. So I think that gave them the extra push they needed to actually have to have Lauren and Tom working together within this episode too. So to keep the whole kind of Lucifer close. So he worked with like another detective, pretty much. He worked with another detective that kind of reminded him of well, not reminded him because he didn't meet her until decades later, but kind of it somewhat kind of rang bells regarding his kind of similar kind of dynamic with Chloe too. So yeah, and I think I liked I like some of the references in this. The fact that he said like an emotional, like it would take a literal miracle for him to form an emotional connection with any kind of human, which is exactly what Chloe was. She was a blessing from God. So so I think that was a nice piece of foreshadowing that even he himself wasn't aware of. So I think I think it's nice that they actually reference that in this episode, like him being aware that that's what it would take for him. That's what it would take for him to fall for any particular kind of human. So that was fun. So we had that. They brought Trisha Helfer back. They brought Trisha Helfer back as Shirley, as Jack's wife. That was really, really cool. That was super cool. I think I didn't expect to see her returning in any kind of form, because I think having known her as Charlotte and Charlotte having died, I think it seemed pretty kind of set in stone that that Trisha wasn't really coming back to the show. But then having her playing a completely different role in this was very, very fun. Having her and Lauren play albeit historically inaccurate, but playing a couple nonetheless was really cool to see. So she was Shirley, Jack's wife, the couple with kind of marriage problems, because their thing wasn't really their kind of initial meeting wasn't really as coincidental as they would have liked, and she was called out by a guy that Jack knew, so that he would actually finally meet someone and settle down and stuff. But then he found out about it, and then it just didn't really hit off as well as they'd expected. So yeah, it was cool. So that was cool. So yeah, we had Trish Helfer there, and then we had D.B. Woodside playing Melvin the Magnificent, the dodgy magician dude that did all of the cult stuff, like the cult rituals and stuff with the chicken chicken on. I think it's always a chicken. It's always a chicken. It's never. I think it's. Well, I'd say it's very rarely anything else. I have seen instances where it's something else, like a pig or a goat or basically any farm animal. It's only ever a farm animal. It's never like you have to get a tiger's tongue and an elephant's heart and like a chimpanzee's, left ankle or something. Like it's only ever either like it's predominantly chickens, but generally speaking, it's only ever like farm animals. Like never anything be like further and further into the animal kingdom. So yeah, always like like a chicken's head, chicken's heart, chicken's blood. Like any bodily essence of any kind of farm animal. So yeah, the chicken heart was there. Also, the to make stuff more profitable, he actually had the chicken heart pre-carved for for convenience and stuff. So that was fun. We had that. And then we had Kevin, who usually plays Dan as Willie, I think the Sausage Prince, Willie the Sausage Prince, yeah, and I think even that reference to him, like, there's a word that I would actually use to describe him, but I can't quite put my finger on it, it's like French for shower, like douche, and everything, so that like, those kinds of, like, foreshadowing references, like, of him actually knowing what he would, say, and also, like, in general, I think it has worked to actually build this episode up and actually push it forward and actually kind of just make stuff that much funnier in context as well. So that kind of writing was really, really cool. But yeah, so we had Trisha, we had Amy, we had Lauren, Kevin, basically everyone within the kind of main circle had a role to play. And I think, yeah, I think the whole concept of the thing, like, cause like it was like it seemed fairly simple. Like it seemed like Chloe didn't show up for game night, but Trixie did. So instead, she wanted a story of the ring and stuff. And you think it's just gonna be something simple, but then the deeper it goes, you find out all of this stuff, like like how he knew Lilith and who Lilith was, and I think seeing Leslie playing Lilith too, like, is actually really interesting because I think. Because again, like from what we know of Lilith, she just wasn't really the best mother. Like like Maze hated her because she abandoned them all and left them behind and stuff like that. And then even in the end, we see her actually finding Lilith at the end. So she finally met up with her to actually get answers and stuff. And then even then, Lilith still pushes her away because she said, I left you so that you and your siblings would be strong and unbreakable and stuff. Because she wanted them to know. Because like back then she had pondered human connection. So she wanted that. She wanted human connection. So that's why she gave up her immortality. But then she knew that it would change her because, like, even Lucifer said, like, once you do this, there's no going back. So she knew that it would change her and it would change who she was and how she'd been all this time. So she didn't want, like, in case it left her in like a much more vulnerable state, then she didn't want her kids to go through the same thing, so she made Lucifer swear that he would never tell Maze or any of the others about this because she wanted them unbreakable. She wanted them going through hell, going through different trials and stuff, and being unbreakable. So yeah, but the ring had a stone in it from the Garden of Eden. So until she blessed it with her immortality, until she did that, it was nothing. It was just like a pure stone from the Garden of Eden, just something to remember. Because like her time there wasn't the best, but there were still a few things that she actually did like. So and it made her who she was today. So she kept the stone for that reason. And they were able to draw Willie out through the kind of through the guise of having like a magic bracelet that would give him immortality, so that was fun. That was very, very fun. And even Lucifer's kind of Lucifer's Sigmund Freud reference to thingy as well. After seeing like he just has like a plate full of mini sausages, and he's like, "Oh, my friend Freud would take a very good liking to you." That was hysterical. But yeah, no, like the kind of references, both kind of friend wise, because I think Lucifer is a guy who's lived a long time. He's a guy who's lived a long time. So he referenced Freud, Tutankhamun with Melvin the Magnificent, thingy, what's his name? I think it was Caligula when he mentioned he made like a human something, like a human train or chain or something, like 37 people long, like a sex thing. Like he did that with Caligula. So he's met a lot of historical figures across time, and he's made his mark across human history as Lucifer Morningstar. So yeah, just hearing those references, I mean, that one actually got me. That one, the Sigmund one, actually got me. So yeah, but yeah, Lilith. I don't know if this has been mentioned before because. Yeah, because disclaimer, Lucifer, I watched through the first few seasons of this show really, really quickly. I kind of breezed through them, and when I do that with the show, it tends to kind of alter the way that I actually take stuff in. Like, especially if I'm watching it to catch up, if I'm not actually sitting down and watching it and processing what goes on. If I'm watching it to catch up, then I kind of breeze through them, watch like a few episodes a day, and then move on to the next one and stuff like that. So I don't know if it's been mentioned before, like what exactly Lilith did to her children, or what or like how she did it. But in this episode, she says that she sent her children to hell, to help build an army for Lucifer. So timeline-wise, I'm thinking how that would line up, because we know that Lucifer did start a rebellion with an army. I believe his rebellion against God and against heaven was done with an army. So I do wonder if Lilith provided him with that army, because I think it was way back in the beginning that the whole kind of like Lilith was the first wife. She refused to submit. Then she was kicked out of heaven, and out of the garden, and then God crafted Eve from his rib, like a woman made from his own body, to be able to to actually submit to him. So then that happens here. So that would be from the very, very beginning. So then timeline wise, so then afterwards, it I don't know where she got children from, but from wherever she got, I don't know if Adam actually gave her children, but however she got children, she ended up actually casting them down to hell and then providing Lucifer with an army, and then maybe eons later he staged that rebellion. So that was something else I forgot to mention, that like all the stuff he did, wanting to leave hell and go to Earth, and wanting to do a rebellion and doing all that stuff, was actually, it was ideas implanted in his head by Michael, and then stuff inspired by Michael. So everything he did was also being controlled and inspired by Michael too. So him and Chloe had that whole thing of that somehow being a shared experience, like having a controlled life somehow being a shared experience and stuff. So which led to an argument. So that was fun. But Lilith sent him her children. So I think her children would include Maze. I don't know who else would be her child. I don't know what other children Lilith had, like name wise. I mean, but Maze was one of them, and then she was sent to hell, and she became a demon. And she also then became Lucifer's second hand. She also became Lucifer's second in command, who also did plenty of her own torturing of evil souls in hell, and then she escaped with Lucifer from hell and went to Earth with him and stuff like that. So pretty much from the beginning, she's been by his side all along and stuff. So that's what Lilith did, and then even at the end, she didn't really tell them. She just kind of abandoned she left Lucifer. She left Lucifer kind of on a mutual term. She didn't just leave him, but she abandoned her children, and also asked Lucifer not to tell them about what she did or why she did it or how she did it or whatever. So and I think and then even at the end, even at the end, Maze tracks her down in Reno. And stuff, so she doesn't find Amara there, not that kind of crossover. I think that it's I mean, unless Supernatural gets a revival, which I don't know how I'd feel about a revival, but because it's barely even ended now, and it's barely it's still within the last few hours, the last few hours of its lifeline. So I don't know if talking about a revival of Supernatural is suitable at this point, but I don't know, maybe, but no, not that kind of crossover just yet. But no, she went to Reno. She found Lilith, and Lilith, knowing Lucifer, knew that only the devil would know where she was or have any idea where she was. So he must have opened up and told her what happened. So but Maze was crafty. Actually sending Trixie in on her behalf, under the guise of wanting to spend time with Lucifer, but then actually wanting to hear a story about the ring, and then even Trixie back in the elevator actually telling, actually reciting the Once Upon a Time in New York in 1946 story to Lucifer. So that was crafty. But I mean, it only makes sense for Maze and Trixie to be working together. So that was very, very fun. But Trixie, I think I'm it felt weird, because then it felt weird not hearing her squeaky childlike voice anymore. I was so used to hearing it in the earlier seasons, and now she's actually growing up. I think she's pretty much like a teenager now. But no, it was weird, because I think we haven't really seen her in this season so far, besides from the first episode, I think it was, when she actually went by when she went by Linda's place with Dan to drop off some books, and then we actually heard just that what her voice was like, and it was surprising then, and it's surprising now. But I think it's good that they still managed to keep her around, even if they might not incorporate her that much, because I think as she grows older, the character herself is gonna have, more of a life and stuff, and she might move on, which is going to be sad to see her getting friends other than Lucifer and Maze and everyone else, but it's the life of a human being. So yeah, so now I think the secret, because Maze being there at the end meant that she was there to get the secret. Like, Michael clearly told her, because he told her in the last episode, I know a secret about you that only Lucifer knows, and I can't tell you what it is, but I can tell you how to get to it. So clearly he gave her the heads up about, it's something Lucifer knows. It's maybe about the ring and the truth about your mother and everything like that. So I think that must have been what the secret actually is. That must have been. So I think maybe why she abandoned them, or how she abandoned them, or what the story about her abandonment was. Because I think she didn't abandon them out of just anything. I think she wanted maybe to feel a human connection after seeing what things were like between Jack and Shirley, and especially seeing that things were so kind of staggered and so hectic between the two of them until the very end. It kind of made her desire human connection, because I think the first human she was made for, he didn't really respect her. God didn't really respect her. God respected her even less. So she wanted someone who actually had a mutual kind of bond along with her. So in the end, she actually seeked out her own connection with someone she actually wanted to be with, as opposed to someone who was actually set up for her, or someone who she was set up for, and stuff like that. So yeah, so then that kind of thing, she knew that emotional connection, human bonding, all that kind of stuff would would change her children, and that's the one thing she didn't want, because she sent her children there to begin with to be an army for Lucifer, to be something that he could actually rebel against heaven with. So then them being changed by all this emotional talk wouldn't really help anyone in the slightest. So that kind of backstory was cool too. That was cool too. But yeah, that is it. That is pretty much all I've got from this episode. It was very, very fun. It was super duper fun. I loved the flashback element of it, but also the actual extra mile of making it even with the dialogue, the writing, the music, the cuts, the plot twists and everything. It was a really, really 40s murder mystery type of thriller type of episode. So that was really, really fun. And the castings were great. All the castings were great. Seeing all the actors in different roles as well was really, really cool. But yeah, that is it. That is pretty much all I've got. So that was Lucifer, season 5, episode 4. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought of the episode and what you think is coming up next time on Lucifer. Once again, the uncut reaction for this will be over on Patreon, so you can go check that out over there. And yeah, that is it. So I will see you guys next time.